Welcome to University Drive, your pathway to the transformational work of University of the Bahamas. Our mission is to advance and expand access to higher education, promote academic freedom, drive national development, and build character through teaching, learning, research, scholarship, and service. Our goal is to build a better Bahamas by shaping tomorrow's leaders today, finding solutions to challenges, and forging new opportunities for growth. University Drive, where faculty, staff, students, and alumni travel the road of progress together with you. And now, here's your host. Hello, everyone, and welcome to University Drive. I'm your host, Tamika Lundy. Thank you so much for joining us for this sixth season of University Drive. Joining us as our guest today is the president of University of the Bahamas, Dr. Rodney D. Smith. Dr. Smith, welcome and thank you for joining us. It's been quite a while since you were last here.
Yes, and these are different circumstances, and it's a pleasure to be with you today.
Since the last time you were here, some pretty extraordinary things have happened globally and nationally. And a lot of it hasn't been positive. They've been quite challenging for us as human beings on this earth. So there's been Hurricane Dorian, which scarred the Bahamas. University of the Bahamas is without its campus in Grand Bahama and its residential facility. COVID-19 has thrown the world into chaos, and it's forced a lot of pivoting. Our global economy has been shaken because of all of the lockdowns. There's a global outrage over all of this racial indignity and police killings. Some would say it's a difficult time to operate as a higher learning institution. What do you say to that?
It is a difficult time, but it is also a time when we have to make adjustments in terms of how we deliver education. Is also a time when we have to address what is global systemic racism and inequalities. It is a wake-up period, I think, for the world. And we are looking at a generation that's going to be the generation that creates the change that the world needs.
Understood. Another question that a lot of people have asked is they're questioning, is there really a need for a university considering all that's happened and all that we're facing?
In reality, the need for a university has catapulted even more so. And I say that because more change has occurred in the past 6 months in the delivery of education than has occurred in the past 10 years. We are looking at the need to restructure on a daily basis, on a frequent basis, how education and training is delivered. We're looking at the use of skills training and preparation in terms of certifications. We're looking at the fact that students can now become ambassadors to opening new opportunities through technology. We're exploring virtual study abroad opportunities. And one of the interesting things that's happening is that people are discovering hidden talents that are being discovered through the use of artificial intelligence. So the world is changing rapidly around us. Higher education institutions are pivotal in helping the world to grapple with this change and with the delivery of education and training as we move forward in this new norm, in this new era, in this major global paradigm shift.
So you're saying then that even with all of the upheaval, a university education does still make sense?
It does make sense. There will be the need to redefine how that education and training is delivered, how skills training is addressed for the wider community as well. But in terms of, even for us, in terms of our own national development, the university becomes even more significant in that it becomes the resource base for national development. It becomes the resource base for innovation. It becomes the resource base for advances in artificial intelligence and technology.
So it's been a tough 6 months to say the least. How has the university fared in terms of meeting its mission and in terms of its manpower, personnel, and students?
Actually, the university, we had some issues initially when we transitioned to emergency remote teaching and operations, but we were very, very fortunate in comparison to other institutions around the world in different countries in that we were completely digitized by the fall of 2019. And so we were very, very fortunate that when we made the switch to operating remotely and teaching remotely, we were able to make that transition successfully. We did have instances, of course, like other institutions all around the world, where individuals had to learn very, very quickly how to use the technology, how to adapt to teaching online, how to adapt to operating remotely away from the campus, away from their offices, away from data files. But I think that we fared very, very well. We had lots of discoveries. We discovered that there were deficiencies at home for both students and faculty members in terms of access to technology or the internet. And now going into the fall semester, we were able to conduct surveys and had meetings with students, faculty, and staff since we went into emergency remote teaching and operations so that we could learn how to address those needs quickly and more efficiently.
I see. Let's discuss, though, this whole need for human connection. That's a natural, eh? And how that bucks against the need now to stay physically apart in order to survive. How do you think your students, though, are dealing with kind of rationalizing these two concepts? And how is the university helping them through that? I'm asking you this because I know that you do have a background in psychology, right?
Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, one of the things that I talked to about with the senior administrators on a regular basis is the need to encourage their team members to come off the grid from time to time. The need to not allow themselves to work 7 days a week. The need to discipline themselves to take care of, or better care of themselves, because stress stress is one of those mental conditions that'll sneak up on you. You'll never know it's there until it materializes in your behavior. So I really, really encourage people to monitor their own behavior, do things that are designed to help take care of themselves, self-care, make sure that they allow themselves to work in a routine so that they're only on the computer certain hours of the day. They're not on the computer 7 days a week. It's very, very easy to work from Monday to Monday, especially when you're not getting up in the morning and getting dressed and creating a routine for yourself. You have to have your weekend routine. That's for you and your family. You also have to have your work routine. That's for your job. But you have to keep them separated in order to maintain some sense of stability. I know that the global health community has been making reference to the term social distancing, but in reality, what we're talking about is physical distancing, keeping physical distance from each other. But in terms of socialization, what we have to do is to learn how to adapt with the technology that we have. We have to learn how to adapt to how we socialize with each other at this point in time. One of the things that some schools are doing, I know for a fact, that some schools are having talent contests online, virtual talent contests. They're having talent shows. They're having social evenings. They're having socialization events where individuals go online and they talk with each other. One of the things that started happening at the University of the Bahamas with our senior administrators, to give you an example, is that the first part of our weekly meeting, first 20 minutes or so, has become a moment for socialization. So in our meeting this week, and this helps to break up the tension and the monotony, we had individuals who had pets at home showing pictures of their pets online before we started the business portion of our meeting. So we were able to meet the other family members, so to speak, at home. And then we talk about things that we're doing, things that we're doing in terms of our gardening, our cooking. Some of us have become really, really good cooks and bakers, and also our exercise routines. Some of us are able to travel around the world virtually by going taking tours of different places and taking walking tours or treadmill tours as well. And so all of that is helping to break up the monotony. But in terms of socializing for students, our Dean of Students, Mr. Joe Stubbs, and his team will be reaching out to students and helping to organize students. We had a great meeting the other night with the Student Government Association and our new student government president, Mackenzie Charles, and his team will also be organizing things for students to do.
So I'm really glad that you're saying that, because that takes me to this thought I have, and I know that a part of the mission of University of the Bahamas is to build character. And considering all that we have experienced, it seems to me that emotional intelligence is even more so now needed. And a part of that is teaching students and learning how to be flexible, how to be adaptive, how to adapt when circumstances warrant. What are your views on that?
I completely agree with you. And this is when we go into a situation like this, where we are physically distancing, where we are required to physically distance, we have to be adaptive. We have to learn how to survive, but not only how to survive, but how to thrive. Because the opportunities that are being presented right now, we're talking about opportunities that open the rest of the world to us right now. I'll give you an example. One of the things I'm going to talk to faculty about next week is not only virtual study abroad opportunities, but also inter-institutional and intercultural, intercountry co-teaching with colleagues around the world. This is an opportunity for us to reach out to an author of a particular textbook that a faculty member has been using for years and ask them to be a guest lecturer to their class. This is an opportunity for us to reach out to the University of Malta, where we have colleagues, and ask them if they would give a guest talk in exchange for doing the same thing from a faculty member from the University of the Bahamas. So we have a golden opportunity right now to begin all kinds of newly devised, not only articulation agreements, but opportunities for co-teaching and co-learning and exposure that before now we really did not take advantage of.
So we're talking about re-envisioning and reimagining, right?
Exactly, and in terms of building character, the international exposure right from your home, the kinds of discussions that we could have internationally, globally, with other individuals around the world, is now at our fingertips.
Still speaking of students, I understand that the university expects at the end of the day to process way in excess of 2,200 admissions applications. What to you is that an indication of? What does that reflect?
Well, what it reflects really is what's going on in colleges and universities around the world. It reflects that some borders are being closed down. It reflects the economic impact of the pandemic that affected national policies in the Bahamas. For instance, you know that new scholarships are not awarded this year from the government for students to study abroad. Students instead are strongly advised to enroll in programs locally, and in particular, the University of the Bahamas, or BTVI. And so that's what you see happening here as well. The students who prefer to stay home, or families who prefer their students who study abroad to remain home, but to continue their education at the University of the Bahamas and continue their progression towards their degrees, because their courses will be transferable to their institutions when they decide to go back, or they might decide to complete their degrees locally at home, and then particularly undergraduate, and then continue graduate degree education either at home or abroad. So you're looking at a combination of variables that are contributing to the increase in enrollment this semester.
Got it. I want to talk a little bit now about the brick and mortar university, which may be a little bit out of place considering all that we are experiencing, but still, The last time you were here, you foreshadowed the groundbreaking for the university residential complex at the Oaksville campus. That has happened. What's the next step? Is that still proceeding?
That is still proceeding. It's on a slight hold right now because of our lockdown. But as you know, I do not think that we have restrictions on construction activities. As a matter of fact, proof of that is in the fact that the Clarence A. Bain building was just demolished. So that is still something that's going to happen. I do not think that we should assume that the pandemic is going to last forever. The pandemic has catapulted our use of technology, our use of artificial intelligence, catapulted us into an advanced 21st century delivery of education. But we are still going to revert back to a certain extent, the use of physical campuses, brick and mortar as well. But we're also going to be looking at brick and mortar in a different way, particularly when it comes to our scientific research labs, our classrooms, our electronic classrooms, and the access to the world and to colleagues around the world that this new paradigm shift will provide for us. So in terms of the physical, yes, we will always have that need where students want to be on campus, where students want to live on campus. In terms of student socialization, social development, that need will always be there. No matter how advanced we become with the technology, we are social animals. And you're always going to find students who say, well, look, I prefer to do face-to-face teaching, or I prefer to live on campus as opposed to living at home. I want to learn from the people that I am studying with.
Got it. Remind our listeners, though, why was there a need for a 1,000 bed facility, residential?
Well, the 1,000 bed facility was to address not only Family Island students, but also international students. As you know, the university is moving to acquire international accreditation, particularly through the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, which is regional accreditation for Southeastern United States, the Caribbean, and Central and Latin American countries. What that allows is for United States students, US students, to use their federal financial aid to attend schools abroad as well. And so the residential facility will accommodate those students, as well as students who are students from Family Islands, athletes, and any student who wants to live on the campus. It's been projected that in years to come, there will be the need for more residential facilities beyond the 1,000 beds.
And tell us again, what's the intention for the space where the Clarence A. Bain building was?
Yes, I am going to be, and we've been talking about this for a while, the recommendation to the Board of Trustees is to send out an RFP for the building of a multi-purpose convocation center. The multi-purpose convocation center will actually become a huge revenue source for the University of the Bahamas, as well as the country. It will be able to accommodate large concerts. We will be able to work with the religious community in terms of having religious conferences, seminars throughout the year. Also, we will be able to host international athletic tournaments at this facility, all of this bringing revenue to the country and to the University of the Bahamas itself.
There is a 5-year plan guiding the university's trajectory. How does an organization stay on course with its strategic plan right now, considering all that's happening?
Well, the good thing about a university strategic plan is that it's, in many instances, it's fluid. It's a living document. And so there will be some adjustments as we move forward over the next several years as a university, taking into consideration the tremendous amount of changes brought about as a result of this pandemic and the economic impact. But keep in mind that this this is the first university strategic plan for the University of the Bahamas, which means that in essence, it's foundational in many ways. Foundational in the sense that the majority of the document itself addresses the need to create policies and procedures upon which the university will continue to grow. So that process continues to move forward. That has not altered at all. We might have to make some adjustments as we make adjustments in terms of our available finances over the next couple of years. However, in terms of the creation of the procedures and the policies, we have an extremely talented group of senior administrators at the university, and we are actually moving through the creation of the necessary policies and procedures to provide a strong foundation for the University of the Bahamas.
Understood. What about those new graduate programs that I read about that are supposed to be rolling out during this academic year? Is that still on track?
Absolutely. As you might know too, the majority of these graduate and professional programs, degree programs, are actually designed to be online programs so that we could sign up students and recruit students globally to participate in these graduate studies programs. One in particular that I'm thinking about is the doctoral degree by research, a degree by research program, which is designed after a European model, where students are actually doing major research through the University of the Bahamas, at the end of which they go through the dissertation process, etc. But they've also publishing their work and receiving the doctorate degree from the University of the Bahamas. Several of our master's degree programs are also being implemented, and these are all online as well. In terms of our expansion of graduate and professional degrees, the answer to that is yes, we are proceeding.
And I also know that the university has forged a partnership with the One-on-One Educational Services, and that is allowing a lot of your personal and professional development courses and programs to be taken online by a wider audience online. How is that going, and how do you expect for that to impact and grow an enrollment online?
We expect that to grow tremendously. As a matter of fact, we've already started using that access one-on-one through the online program that's actually headquarters in Jamaica, reaching out to all of the Caribbean countries. One of our faculty members recently designed a contact tracing course, certification course, and that is one of the first programs that actually being spread and made available throughout the entire Caribbean region. So we've already started using that. We expect that there will be more skills training, certification programs taking advantage of that, and we expect that will be one of the first of several accessible programs that we use to globalize our certificates as well as our degrees.
While technology and online applications have become supremely important, if we just go back to the university's decision to incorporate Banner into its processing and student management resource system, that has transformed the way that services are happening and how students and others interface with the university. Looking back, you're saying that was the absolute right move to make?
Absolutely, without any question in my mind whatsoever. Going to Banner, going to the most modern version of Banner, placing our data in the cloud and making it accessible, particularly given the fact that we are hurricane prone. The ability to get up and running as quickly as possible as a university is one of the main requirements for international accreditation, the continuation of the provision of education. And so going to Banner, making sure that we were, all of our administrative systems, our student records, our academic databases, all of our library databases, and everything was accessible. That was, in many, many ways, it was a godsend. And I'll also go further to let you know that I have been pushing for several years now that the University of the Bahamas incorporate the use of augmented virtual reality teaching. Just to give you an example, there are now thousands and thousands of courses and degree programs that could be taught from undergraduate to professional degree programs in medicine and engineering and mechanics and physics, et cetera, that could be taught through augmented virtual reality that would cut down considerably the cost of what it costs universities nowadays to implement those kinds of programs. Just to give you an example, augmented virtual reality can create a virtual lab where students are able to manipulate and learn how to perform complex surgery, as well as learn how to repair jet engines, perform complex mechanics, etc., right from the augmented virtual reality, and take examinations from augmented virtual reality. This is the wave of the future. And my strong recommendation is that we begin looking at this and moving towards this as quickly as possible.
Indeed it is. I'd like to come back and talk about that, but this is actually a very good point at which to take our first break. So hold that thought. You're listening to University Drive. We'll be back after this break.
To protect yourself and others from COVID-19, stay home as much as possible and avoid close contact with others. Wear a mask that covers your nose and mouth when you leave home. Wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds or use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Practice social distancing. If you must leave home, stay at least 6 feet away from other people and disinfect items you must touch. Limit in-person contact as much as possible. To prevent the spread of COVID-19 if you're sick, avoid public transportation, ride-sharing, or taxis. Stay home if you're sick, except to get medical care. Remember to call ahead first. Separate yourself from other people and pets in your home. Everyone is at risk of getting COVID-19. Older adults and people of any age who have serious underlying medical conditions may be at higher risk for more severe illness. This message is brought to you by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and University of the Bahamas.
Welcome back to University Drive. Joining us, we're talking with President of University of the Bahamas, Dr. Rodney Smith. Dr. Smith, I'm curious about going through a pandemic and how the global academic community bands together during this time and the lessons that the leader of University of the Bahamas can learn from his colleagues around the globe during this time. Have you been able to connect regularly with your colleagues and kind of feed off of some things that some best practices and lessons that can be adapted and reviewed and probably reimagined and implemented for UB?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I participate in these discussions on a weekly basis in terms of designing and discussing the future of education, the future of higher education. I also participate in meetings with several presidents, university presidents. As you might know, I am on the board of directors for the American Association of Colleges and Universities, and we meet on a weekly basis. But in addition to doing our business, we also discuss the future of education and the kinds of experiences and challenges institutions are being faced with right now. A lot of what I participated in just this morning was a meeting with the OAS countries that was organized by MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And so, the president, I would comfortably say that the president of the University of the Bahamas is remaining on top of what's going on globally. is in contact with colleges and universities and professionals globally in terms of what's happening and where we are planning to go. And so we remain on the cutting edge. I'm proud to say that I bring these discussions back to my colleagues on campus on a regular basis, and we talk about these things, and we discuss where we need to be going. And I think that, you know, University of the Bahamas is being placed on the map globally in a big way, and I'm very, very proud of that. I know that the Committee on International Education of ASCU is also looking at the University of the Bahamas, and we're talking about doing virtual study abroad. We're talking about the fact that this is a golden opportunity for us as higher education institutions, higher education leaders, to create the kinds of partnerships with resources, intellectual resources on a global basis that we could not get within our own singular institutions. So what we're talking about is the fact that now, during this new paradigm shift, we can accelerate the access to intellectualism on a global level, meaning that our faculty members at UB can co-teach a course anywhere in the world or could lecture anywhere in the world, and other faculty members, other professors, other experts in different fields can also talk to our students directly and expand not only our undergraduate teaching, but also our graduate teaching and research.
Let's talk about access and resources. When COVID-19 struck the Bahamas and the university transitioned to remote operations and emergency remote teaching for its classes, I know that there were a lot of students who did not have access to computer equipment or the requisite internet capacity or other resources. And I know that the university has been diligently working on how it can assist students in that regard. What are the plans moving forward?
One of the things that we did not have an opportunity to do back in the spring when we went to emergency remote teaching and operations is to conduct surveys, needs assessment surveys. Since then, we have conducted several surveys. We have identified where needs are in terms of technology, not only for students, but also for faculty members, and also for staff members who are working remotely. And so we have been able to introduce several policies, several adaptive procedures that meet the needs of staff, faculty, and our students. We've also started, as you might know, campaigns designed to get laptops or technology donated to the university to assist those students and those faculty members who might be deficient in those areas. We're working with the Union of Tertiary Educators of the Bahamas and doing surveys of faculty technology needs so that we can address those as quickly as possible as well. And we're also identifying where particular hidden talents might lie that we could rely on, that we could tap into, that would improve the teaching learning process for our students and our faculty members.
So this is actually a perfect time for corporate Bahamas and foundations to partner with the university, just so we can close the loop and close the gap on that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is the new way for the corporate and the donor community to assist students, their education, etc., is to actually help to provide either funding for this technology or the technology themselves. I know that we've had individuals who've come forward and donated laptops, for instance, to the university to be signed out to students. And we're asking more people to do that. We need it. The university, as many people know, is a national university, but it's also a state institution, a public institution. And we do have a lot of first-generation students who did not have access to the technology that we did not realize when we went into emergency remote teaching in the spring. But now we know who they are, and we've asked those students to come forward, identify themselves. And for the past several months, we've been running this campaign to actually make sure that the university has the equipment to be made available to these students as well as to faculty members.
This pandemic has forced every leader, community, and the academic community as well to rethink the status quo, to evolve, to innovate, to become stronger and better. What does that mean when you think about the university's financial sustainability?
Well, I think that on the financial sustainability, this means that if we were to follow the trend in terms of what's happening globally, it means that we are going to become, or we have the opportunity to become more globally recognized. We have the opportunity to recruit students from anywhere in the world to actually take degrees online at the University of the Bahamas. This is an opportunity for us to grow our revenue sources. This is an opportunity for us to be creative. This is an opportunity for us to learn how to maximize the use of the technology, not only for revenue production, but also for meeting the needs of the country. The fact of the matter is there's going to be a more and more of a shift towards skills training to deal with a world of artificial intelligence and technology as we move over the next several months and over the next several years. And the university itself needs to see this not only as fulfilling a need nationally, but also regionally and globally.
Mhm, mhm. Earlier in our conversation, President Smith, you alluded to the fact that UB faculty was working on a contact tracing course, and I know that the university has been assisting the Bahamas Ministry of Health with how it's managing and coordinating efforts for the COVID-19 response. The university has also been assisting in terms of other projects to do with governance and other matters through the Government and Public Policy Institute. How important is it for the National University to be responsive and to be completing its mission in these ways?
The National University must be an integral partner to the government. And what that means is that the National University must be a resource for the government. The National University must see itself not only as a resource, but also as a stimulant for national development, as a stimulant for sustainability moving forward. Every successful government, no matter how small a country is or no matter how large a country is, must depend on the intellectual resources of its universities. We have one major national university in the Bahamas, and what that means is that the government cannot afford to not use its national university.
I understood. And also on the matter of climate change, it's very interesting because this is another way in which the university has made itself available and has the capacity and capability to help lead our country in critical areas. I read with interest a couple of months back an op-ed that Dr. Adele Thomas had written about, even in the way that the Bahamas handles its COVID-19 response, it should be climate change conscious and aware, and take that into consideration as well. And I know that the CAR Center is also another way that we are bringing leadership and response.
Mm-hmm. And just to clarify, the CAR Center, for those who might not know, is the Climate Change Adaptation and Research Resiliency Research Center that was established at the University of the Bahamas right after Hurricane Dorian last October. Just to give you an example of the importance and the necessity of colleges and universities, particularly universities that are focused on research like climate change. The resources that a national university has to global resources is far outweighs the resources that any individual government has. And we're talking about intellectual resources. We're talking about research centers around the world. When we at the University of the Bahamas introduced the CAR Center, the Climate Change Center, we reached out to colleges and universities all over the world and climate change research centers all over the world. The majority, some 95+% of climate change research facilities around the world are focused on the science or the physical changes associated with climate change. The Climate Change Adaptive and Resiliency Research Center at the University of the Bahamas focuses on the human development aspect, the business sustainability aspects of it, how communities come back together. And that is a major, major ingredient that lends value to all of the other climate change research facilities around the world. And so when it was known that the Carr Center was beginning at the University of the Bahamas, the director of the Carr Center, Dr. Adele Thomas, who is widely known, internationally known for her expertise in climate change research. She's a widely sought after global speaker, and she presents papers all over the world on a regular basis. Her colleagues reached out to her and said they want to be a part of this as well. So we see something that's building in the Bahamas that's already globally recognized.
Awesome, awesome. What are the wins that you are eyeing for the rest of the academic year? We're heading into a new semester. We've learned some lessons, and there is a need for us to do things a little bit differently. What are the priorities heading into this new fall semester?
Well, this new fall semester, we are continuing our work and making sure that the university has a solid administrative and policy foundation. So we're moving ahead with these various policies and positions papers that strengthens the university. We have achieved some major initiatives, one of which, of course, is our digitization through Banner. We've also been running several smaller campaigns, fundraising campaigns. The first one was tied to Hurricane Dorian and UB North, providing relief for UB North. We've been very successful there. We received a lot of support from colleges and universities and organizations around the world for support that went to UB North, or is still going to UB North. With the COVID-19 relief campaign, we have been raising significant funds for that, as well as getting donations of laptops, and we're asking people to continue to do that. We are going to see a major capital campaign announced within the next year or so that is going to be designed to move and propel the University of the Bahamas in a direction that's going to put it on par with all colleges and universities, advanced universities around the world. And that is, I'm going back to, again, the use of augmented virtual reality. That is the wave of the future. And we're going to find in the future that institutions that are not using AVR are going to be left behind. And that's not where the university is going to be.
What have you found is the key to creating that student experience that drives student success?
I think speaking generally, a lot of students want to do what they love doing. A recent study came out that showed that whether or not students were happy with their choice of a major or what they studied or what they learned, and graduated with 10 years previously. So it was a 10-year study. The majority of students who focused on careers that were tied to technology or education and training and communications were the ones that were happier than other students. So I think it's important for students in terms of their drive, in terms of their determination to succeed, to one, do what they love to do, but also recognize the fact that we are going through a paradigm shift in the world. And unless they are able to maximize the use of technology and understand artificial intelligence, the kinds of jobs, the kinds of career paths that are going to be created, that have not been created yet, that will come into existence unless they look at both what they love to do and learn as much technology as possible. They might find themselves 10 years from now being dissatisfied. Mm-hmm. So I say all of that as an introduction to what I believe very strongly, that every single student, no matter what major they might have, just like how we have the general ed, gen ed courses, we have the basic math, basic reading, writing, etc. We now need to introduce computer information systems for all students going through the institution.
So, what's the rallying call, the big prize, that compass that all of your faculty, staff, and students should come back to as they proceed and progress throughout this academic year? What should they keep focused on?
Well, I think that one of the things I mentioned earlier in terms of this is an opportunity for students to serve as ambassadors for opening new opportunities through technology. Many of our students know a whole lot more than we do about the technology. They not only know how to access it, but also how to make it better. They also know how to make it useful in terms of revenue production. This is an opportunity for the Bahamas through its students, through faculty, through the business community, the entrepreneurial community, to expand rapidly and in a vital way that makes us less dependent as a country on tourism, but more dependent on our own innovative skills and expertise. We have to look at this entire pandemic and see the silver lining in it. We have to look at the opportunities that are being created as a result of this, as a result of the discomfort that we might be feeling right now. Every week I'm talking to individuals from around the world on a weekly basis, and we're looking at each other face to face, and we're having these conversations. And when you think about it, even the seminars and the conferences that are taking place right now globally, many of us would have been left out because we might not have had the money to travel to these conferences and participate on these international panel discussions, etc. But now it's accessible at no cost other than signing up, or at no cost other than saying, yes, I will participate. I accept the invitation. And so the opportunities for us now are really unlimited. We just have to understand that those opportunities are there. We have to be creative, we have to be innovative, we have to be entrepreneurial about them. And what better free marketing are you going to have other than what's available now through social media?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's amazing how time just flies. Our time is almost gone. What's the parting message that you want to leave for our listeners?
Well, I would like to really reiterate for everyone around that are listening to us now, to understand that artificial intelligence is here to stay, to understand that the advances in technology are also our opportunities for income, our opportunities for revenue production, not only organizationally, institutionally, but also individually. I think that this is an opportunity for us now to organize think tanks virtually, organize discussion groups virtually, put things on the table. Let's see how we can grow ourselves innovatively to the next level. We are at the beginning of a major paradigm shift in terms of how education and training is delivered to the wider community, as well as to our students and to our professionals. And so I think that this is an opportunity for us to take advantage of it and do what a lot of other countries are doing, but let's do it faster. Understand that we're now at the same level of competition as other innovative entrepreneurial individuals who are looking at the technology as well. We're all on the same page now. And the pace at which we decide to move here in the Bahamas is going to determine whether or not we come out with something before somebody else does.
Well said. President Smith, thank you so much for being our guest on University Drive. We are extending another invitation to you to join us again at some point in the future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. And I wish you all the best. Please stay safe, stay at home, and be creative.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll take another break for University Drive. When we come back, we'll have our Leaders for Life feature. Stay tuned.
Wash your hands. Protect yourself and help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Wash your hands properly and often, especially after you've been in a public place, used the bathroom, touched any surface or item, taken out the trash, handled pets, or after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. First, wet your hands. Use soap, lather, and scrub for 20 seconds at least. Then rinse your hands for 10 seconds. Towel or air dry. Use a paper towel to turn off the tap. Don't forget to wash between your fingers, under your fingernails, and the top of your hands. If soap and water are not readily available, use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Use the sanitizer, cover all surfaces of your hands, and rub them together until they feel dry. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health Surveillance Unit and University of the Bahamas.
Each week, we are bringing you stories of strength, resilience, and triumph featuring our students and alumni. Here's another Spotlight feature.
Life. It's something that many people are reflecting on with renewed appreciation these days. For one of UB's newest graduates, Fallon Roll, a brush with death in 2018 caused her to have a new perspective on life. But she recovered, bravely persevered, and recently completed her Bachelor of Education degree with the highest GPA in the academic unit.
To finally be done with the University of Bahamas feels amazing. It also feels exciting.
Fallon is a fighter, the epitome of resilience. In January 2018, while she was using the pedestrian crossing on University Drive, a car struck her. She was left with serious injuries to her ankle and left tibia, causing her to sit out that entire spring semester. A fearful Fallon was unsure of whether she would ever be able to walk again. She already had a pre-existing condition, osteochondroma, a benign tumor of the bone.
At that time, I was terrified, honestly, like any other child would. And as a result of that, my mother flew me to my doctor in Miami, at Miami Children's Hospital, where his recommendation was not to do the surgery, but do intensive therapy for 3 months and then come back in August to do another roundup where I had to do x-rays and stuff. The part from that is that my previous condition was not impacted at all, so thank God for that. And I was able to walk within a matter of 6 weeks after I commenced therapy with the help of a wheelchair and crutches for support. Like any other student, your desire, your main goal is to finish university or even college with a good standing and a good GPA and all that good stuff. And at the time of the accident, the question that flooded my mind, first of all, was, will I be ever able to walk? That was my main concern. Will I be able to walk and to continue my degree? Because at that time, I broke in not only the tibia, the fibula, but I also broke the ankle.
Fallon's mother was her rock through all of the surgeries, recovery, and physiotherapy. Other family members and friends were there too, helping her when she had to use a wheelchair, then crutches, and when she returned to UB to finish her classes.
As a result of that accident, I have gained another perspective on life. I have appreciated the value of life and as well as the value of friendship, because in that moment, persons who I didn't even knew personally, they reached out to me, and their support and their prayers inspired me to continue on, to not to give up, to know that everything happens for a reason, for the better. And the phrase that comes to mind is, when life throws you a lemon, how are you going to adjust that so that you can benefit from it?
With UB behind her, for now, Fallon plans to pursue her master's degree in inclusive education, particularly for the hearing impaired. She is also continuing to write a children's book, but UB still has a special place in her heart. Fallon Roll, another example of our UB leaders for life.
And with that, we're wrapping up University Drive for this edition. Join us again next time, everyone. Stay safe. I'm Tamika Lundy, signing off for now.
University Drive is a production of the Office of University Relations and the Communications and Creative Arts Academic Unit at University of the Bahamas. All rights reserved.